Indy. One word says it all. And for the second time, this legendary venue hosts one of motorsport's most prestigious events, the SCCA's National Championship Runoffs. Together, it's a can't-miss bucket list event, and almost 900 entries have arrived, all pursuing two things: a chance to kiss the bricks and a gold medal that says champion.
Is there any more iconic sight than the pagoda at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? My name's John Phipp, and welcome to the 58th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs as we make a triumphant return to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Almost 900 drivers are about to do battle, and first race up is T4. Sitting alongside me is seven-time solo national champion Tom O'Gorman. Hey, Tom.
Good morning, John. I can't tell you how much of a pleasure it is to join you. I fell in love watching the runoffs at Mid-Ohio, listening to you call these races. So it is so special to be here with you. And you always start a show with a good opening act. We're starting off with a good one. T4 is always a great race.
Absolutely, and a big field, too. 48 cars on the starting grid. We may have a couple who drop off the back because of some technical difficulties, but we've got some great racers here, some former national champions. I think we've got 4 former champions in the field. So looking forward to a great race, and you can see them lined up down there on the false grid. And we've got the Mazda track map coming up, and since you're the driver between the two of us, Tomo, let's have you do the track map for us.
Sure. Well, it's a pretty cool track, and the biggest note of this track is it's not a track you can regularly drive, unlike any other place where we might have the runoffs. But you see there, down into turn 1, a deceivingly long and deceivingly wide straightaway into turns 1 and 2, which are a quick S back and forth that link together, an acceleration zone through turn 3 into a very fast sweep through turn 4, maybe a dab of the brakes in these types of cars, then flat out again through turn 5 into a large carousel, super wide. You could go 3, 4, 5 wide through turn 6 if you really wanted to, and then out onto the back straightaway, the Holman straight through 6A into sector 2. If you note, sector 1 is very long on this track. Then the fast flowy sector 2, turns 7, 8, 9, and 10. We'll call these the S's if there are S's on this track. And then into sector 3, which is the sweep up onto the banking. The only moment we're really on the banking here at Indy Motor Speedway, through a turn 11 into a heavy braking zone through turn 12. Another set of switchbacks through turns 12, 13, and on to 14 to complete the lap.
That's the Mazda track map. Mazda is not only a great partner to the SCCA, but it's also the most driven car in SCCA road racing. Spec Miata has the biggest field out of all 26 classes this weekend with 92 drivers. That, of course, in last chance qualifying last night was whittled down to 72, which will actually take the green. But there are a whole bunch of MX-5s in this class as well, a few RX-7s as well. So let's go down to the third member of our broadcast team who's down on the pit lane, and it is the august member of our broadcast team. That's Hayward Wagner. Good morning, Hayward.
Morning, gentlemen. It's a very active grid down here for T4, as you would expect. Tom has already touched on it. One of the storylines all weekend is going to be people don't have a lot of time on this track. Most drivers just have a couple of practice sessions, a couple of qualifying sessions. Very few have gone 19 laps here, and that's going to be a big story here in Touring 4, where you've got a heavier, higher horsepower car on the front on pole, the RX-8 chassis. Right behind it, a very veteran driver in Tom Fowler in the MX-5 chassis. There's about a 500-pound difference between these two chassis, and on a long run like that, Fowler thinks that might be the advantage. Both of these cars on the Hoosier A compounds, so if that heavier, higher horsepower car starts eating through tire, look for the lighter car to be able to make some gaps. And don't forget, we've got a pretty cagey veteran on this grid, John Heinricy, third all-time in national championships. He's within striking distance.
Heinricy back in the sixth starting position outside of row number 3. And as you mentioned, the most number of championships of any active driver in the SCCA. In fact, second only to Jerry Hansen, if memory serves. 15-time national champion. He sports cars picked to finish on the podium as well. And the defending champion finishing will start on the front 2 rows as well. Michael Borden took the championship last year at his home track. And he'll be in third spot coming up here in this race. So Michael Borden will be another one to watch as we can see the cars rolling out of the false grid and behind the safety car for their formation lap. Let's introduce the starting grid for you. Your pole sitter, the number 50 of Stephen Blethen out of Bow, New Hampshire, in the New England region in his RX-8. Thomas Fowler, we talked about in the 6th car out of Cumming, Georgia in the Atlanta region. He is sports cars picked to finish atop the podium. Michael Borden, the defending champion in the 42 car out of Greenfield, Wisconsin in the Milwaukee region in his MX-5. Tyler Quance, right alongside him in the 68 out of Cypress, Texas in the Houston region. Raymond Blethen, brother to our pole sitter in the 51 out of Londonderry, New Hampshire in the New England region in an RX-8. And John Heinricy, the 15-time champion in the 35 car out of Clarkston, Michigan in the Detroit region. In row 4, Sergio Zlobin in the 18 out of Houston and the Houston region in his MX-5. Izzy Sanchez, who hasn't won a championship since 1983 out of San Mateo, California and the San Francisco region. In row 5, car number 9, Charles Harbitzreutinger out of Spartanburg, South Carolina, Central Carolinas region. He's in an MX-5. Timothy Wise next to him in the 25 out of Santa Cruz, California, in the San Francisco region. Ryan Heischman out of Carlisle, Pennsylvania, in the Susquehanna region in the 146. Next to him, Christopher Windsor out of Thurmont, Maryland, and the Washington, D.C. region. Chi Ho, also one of Sports Car's picks to finish on the podium, out of the Orlando, Florida, in the Florida region in the 06 car. Garrett Mays out of Parker, Colorado, in the Colorado region in the 44. Starting 15th, the 69 of Jeremy Butts out of Damestown, Maryland, in the Washington, D.C. region in an MX-5. Those 15 drivers all eclipsed the lap record set here by Oscar Jackson back in 2017. Colin Koehler in the 10 car out of Spanaway, Washington, the Northwest region. Rick Delamere in the 15 out of Snohomish, Washington, in the Oregon region. Jared Lendrum in the 7 out of Queensbury, New York, and the Mohawk Hudson region. Brian Laughlin in the 27 out of Vinta, Oklahoma, and the Northeast Oklahoma region. Derek Ambrose, who won the Hawk Breakthrough Performer, gaining the most positions between Tuesday and Wednesday's qualifying. He picked up 13 spots, so that's a big jump for Derek out of Brush Prairie, Washington, and the Oregon region. Roldan de Guzman in car number 49 out of Seattle in the Northwest region. The 59 of Robert Spence out of Ackworth, Georgia, and the Atlanta region. Starting 23rd, Ralph Porter out of Kokomo, Indiana, and the Indianapolis region. Car 8 outside of him in row 12 is Alexander Schaefer out of Arlington, Virginia, the Washington, D.C. region. Felix Borodatti in the 56 out of Hallandale Beach, Florida, in the Florida region. James Eben out of Appleton, Wisconsin, second-generation racer out of Milwaukee in the 66 car. 27th is the 39 of Richard Mooney from Dane, Wisconsin, in the Milwaukee region. 188 is Michael LaMena from Oakland, New Jersey, and the South Jersey region. Kevin Fryer in the 98 out of Bloomington, Illinois, the Washington, D.C. region. The 171 is Jason Benoit out of Groton, Massachusetts, in the New England region. Starting 31st, car 3, Brent Simonson out of Millersville, Maryland, in the Washington, D.C. region. The 4 is Ken Lendrum out of Queensbury, New York, and the Mohawk Hudson region. Car 2 is Paolo Salvatore out of San Antonio in the Houston region. The 71 is Richard Dickey out of Columbus, Indiana, racing out of the Texas region. 151, Brian Price out of Middletown, Virginia, the Washington, D.C. region. The 33 is Philip Clark out of Oceanside, California, in the San Diego region. Car number 36 is Tony Curazos out of San Jose, California, the San Francisco region, and the 17 of Greg Guthrie from Kenosha, Wisconsin, and the Milwaukee region. Richard Grunenwald out of Hilliard, Ohio, in the Ohio Valley region, in the 93, one of my announcers at Mid-Ohio. The 96 is Matthew Miller from Canal Fulton, Ohio, and the Mahoning Valley region. Jeff Liller from Thurmond, Maryland, in the Washington, D.C. region. Liam Vale out of Littleton, Colorado, in the Colorado region in the 09. Charlton Lane in the 21 out of Statesboro, Georgia, in the Buccaneer region. The 149 is David Hooker out of San Antonio in the Lone Star region. The 14 of Stephen Taki out of Cypress, Texas, in the Houston region. The 0 is Keith Jones out of Lorain, Ohio, in the Ohio region. The 5 is Stephen Christopher from Bonner Springs, Kansas, in the Ohio Valley region. And the 186 is Nick Leveroni out of Mendon, Massachusetts, the New England region. The 2019 champion. We don't know if Nick will be in the field. We got them all done.
Made it. Just in time.
As Stephen Blethen and Thomas Fowler alongside, and it looks like Fowler is going to get the jump as the green flag flies.
It's actually a wave off. They were ready for the green. They tried to go. Michael Borden was ready better than anybody else, but he basically drove right into the back of Raymond Blethen. We didn't get a green flag. Very interesting.
Yeah, so first race of the day. We have our first wave off of the day. Somehow I don't think it will be our last. But the starter certainly has that as their prerogative.
I don't know what happened to cause that, other than there was one car that was out of the row. Chi Ho had kind of peeked off to the side to get a sight line to the flag, I can only assume. Everything looked picture perfect, but you get to catch your breath after that heck of an entry list. I guess that's a good sign.
Exactly.
And we'll get this one going in a minute.
Yeah, looked like Thomas Fowler had a bit of a jump. I think he was anticipating the green, and it didn't quite happen. So that could have triggered the starter to wave this one off as well. So we'll go around one more time. The clock does start. These races are 19 laps or 40 minutes, whichever comes first. So we'll take a little time out of this one as they go around one more time.
So a couple things this will imply. There are some heavier cars on the grid, as Hayward alluded to. Their pole sitter, the RX-8, is, I think he said 400 or 500 pounds heavier than the other Mazdas around it and the MX-5s. But the other thing is those rotary engines, they make a lot of heat. There's a lot of exhaust heat. There's a lot of general heat soak that goes on with those RX-8s. So not only do they lose grip because they're heavier throughout the race, but they lose more power throughout the race as well. So Blethens, both of them, the brothers, will be happy to see 3.5 minutes or so knocked off of this 40-minute race. But the other cars around him, maybe not so happy about that. Also, Chi Ho is among the heavier cars there in that 2014 BMW 320i. That is also a 4-cylinder turbo, so the longer that car stays cool, the more power it's going to make. He was visibly down on power on the second day of qualifying, but looks like they got it figured out for the third day of qualifying, and he was on a heck of a charge last year for the first half of the race at Road America. You see that black BMW there just on the bottom left of your screen. Watch him at the start. That car might be very quick.
Exactly. Clearly, he's had a troubled weekend because he was in the 4-minute range on his first qualifying day, and then up in the high 2s, and then finally got it together on pole day as he was able to take the 13th starting position based on his qualifying performance on the final day of qualifying.
There's the last car that might be happy about a few fewer laps. That's the Mazda 3 of Derek Ambrose, the top-running front-wheel drive car, one of only 2 in the field, but front tire management that goes on with that car, but it is quick and a straight as well.
Mazda 3, a car that used to be a daily driver of mine, so I'm familiar with that chassis. Looking forward to Derek Ambrose's success. There's another Mazda 3S well deep in the field. Stephen Take out of Houston, Texas has a Mazda 3 as well. As the field making its way through turns 12 and 13, coming back onto the front straightaway. See the 50 car of our pole sitter, Stephen Blethen, Thomas Fowler in the 6th, right alongside, as the field begins to form up, and hopefully we'll get a green this time by.
Something real quick of note, the sun is very low in the sky. Drivers have been complaining about visibility when driving into it all morning. This will be interesting when they go wheel to wheel.
Yeah, exactly, especially down the Holman Straight. They'll be right in their eyes. Pole sitter with about a half a car length lead as they come onto the front straightaway. We'll keep an eye on the flag stand there in the middle left of your screen. It's pretty well formed up. And there's the green. We are underway. And immediately they pop out about 4 wide, just behind our leader. But the pole sitters...
Oh, no. Tom Fowler, there's a mechanical issue. He is not able to accelerate, but look at Chi Ho up the middle in the black BMW. He's already into the top 10. And the Blethens, the RX-8s, go to the front.
Exactly. There's Stephen Blethen, the pole sitter, coming right into turn number 1. He's going to lead the parade through that as a couple cars get together as we got a spinner.
Yeah, the 18 car jumps the curb. That's Sergio Zlobin, gets into Chi Ho, and now the 51.
That's
so
Raymond Blethen.
5th place Blethen is spun around due to that contact, but it looks like everyone's through. Somehow he drives counter race without getting ahead on collision and will now continue.
Tony Karatzis has to take evasive action down in the grass as we've got like 3, 4, 5 cars off here at turn number 1. Meanwhile, at the front, the RX-8 of Stephen Blethen with the advantage as they work their way through the S's through turn number 9.
That's a massive shakeup with a handful of our big contenders out of the race. We saw that Chi Ho was in the tire wall. Looks like he might have had steering damage after the contact with Zlobin, and then a handful of other cars with crinkled hoods and body panels. Very unfortunate way to start the race for a handful of drivers. But Blethen, Borden, and Heinricy become your top 3 somehow after all of that shuffle.
And there's Fowler getting back underway. I wonder if he just was in the wrong gear and maybe missed his shift because he's back at speed, back about mid-pack. As we see the 15 car of Rick Delamere from Washington, the Oregon region, making his way through the S's, coming up toward turn number 11, which takes him up onto the banking, into the heavy braking zone. A good passing opportunity at turn number 12, right by the pit entrance.
15 car, looks like a full course caution. I was going to say the 15 car was the first car out of the top grouping. They had stuck together, but we're going to go full course caution, assumingly for number of those stranded cars down in turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, no real surprise there. It's going to take just a bit of time for the excellent safety crew here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway to get those cars into a place of safety as the safety car pulls out of its parking spot there on turn number 1 on the oval to pick up the field. So as they come across the line, we can get a little better feeling about who ended up where. We do know that our pole sitter, Stephen Blethen, is atop the order. Michael Borden, the defending champion, in second. John Heinricy, the 15-time champ, up to third. Charles Habis-Reutinger in the 4th spot. Sergio Zlobin, a good start, up to 5th. Tyler Quantz dropped back a bit into 6th position. Rick Delamere in the 15 car in 7th. He had a good start, back in 17th position. Brian Laughlin in the 27 car. Thomas Fowler, who started alongside our pole sitter on the front row, all the way back to 9th, but that's a good recovery for him, considering that looked like about half the field swamped him on the start.
Yeah, and this full course is a great opportunity for Tom there in the number 6, the OPM livery on that car. That's just heartbreaking. He was down into maybe 20th by the time they got to turn 1. So this full course caution and having him back up to about 9th after some of that attrition will be kind of good news, bad news for the field, but the good news is for him.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully he doesn't have a recurrence of whatever problem he had on the initial start. So hopefully he's got all the gears in the gearbox. Yeah. It's certainly a thing that he could have an issue with being stuck in a taller gear and not able to accelerate. So we'll see how that shakes out. Jeremy Butts currently in 11th spot. Garrett Mays in 12th. Derek Ambrose in that Mazda 3 up to 13th spot. Robert Spence and Kevin Fryer, but a great start for Rick Delamere, who started back in 19th position all the way up to 7th. So he's certainly a candidate for the Sunoco Hard Charger before this one's all over. We'll get a replay of the start, and you can see Fowler bogged down. He actually gets tagged in the back as he is
and keep an eye.
A rolling chicane there. Go ahead.
Watch that black BMW in the middle of the field. We pointed him out, started in 13th. He was challenging for 3rd on the brakes, comes through the middle of the field right here, but then the blue MX-5 just behind him is going to go for the curb, jumps right into his steering in the front of the car. That's going to knock the car out of steering. Blethen goes around meanwhile, and Chiho, no steering, drives straight through. I have to imagine a couple of the cars got collected there just outside of the frame on the left.
So we see the 51 car of Raymond Blethen getting back on track. His brother leading this one. And we saw the 36 car earlier, Tony Carrazas, going slowly. I don't know if he is one of the damaged cars. It looks like he'll get back up to speed as we are working race lap number 3.
Cars we can assume were involved. Izzy Sanchez looks to also have been involved in that incident. The 78 did not complete lap number 1. Chiho, of course, we saw Timothy Wise, Felix Borodati, and Rich Grunenwald all not completing lap number 1. We saw Grunenwald was actually stranded over in the S's, so I think that driver was separate. But the first 4 names we just read off, all involved in the incident in turn 1.
Yeah, Chiho, again, what a surprise. Is he was expected to run near the front, but just got caught up in that first lap incident. Through no fault of his own, I might add.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's a tough one for him.
We just saw the 56 of Borodati getting towed behind the wall, and 78 of Sanchez was certainly sitting there as well. I'm very curious to see or hear later what happened with that top grouping, because they looked pretty clean other than Blethen going around.
Michael Borden, defending champion in that 2nd spot. The Phoenix livery, of course, on John Heinricy's Toyota 86, Subaru BRZ, Scion. They're all the same, just a different badging.
We call them the twins, even though they're triplets now.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty cool story for Michael Borden's car. He was focused on Spec MX-5 this year, kind of a semi-pro stepping stone into something bigger, aiming at winning the Mazda scholarship to kind of grow his motorsports career, but realized sometime this season that he had basically earned a free entry for this year's runoffs by winning last year. So they didn't have a car prepared for T4. Didn't feel like converting his car back and forth from Spec MX-5 to T4. So Advanced Auto Parts, not the store, Advanced Automotive built this car. They were building it for Spec MX-5, but just held off on the final bit of prep, made it a T4 car, and they're allowing him to race it here in the championship runoffs. They didn't necessarily know what to expect, and it is a fairly simple car, but they were impressed that it came out right on pole the first 2 days, starting 3rd finally here at the actual race. He's running 2nd now, and they said if it wins, it's going straight for sale.
On eBay.
Yeah,
exactly. You can win a championship-winning car.
Driven 1 week only.
An Indianapolis winner, ladies and gentlemen. Join Rick Mears in an event. So, yeah, I'll be real curious when we get this started to see if Tom Fowler has got an issue that he's going to have to work around throughout the course of the rest of the race. But he appeared to be right back up to speed.
He did.
Like I say, recovered up into a top 10 position here. So we'll certainly expect him to be one of the guys moving forward.
Still 30 minutes on the clock for this race, so it should be a fairly good opportunity to complete most of the 19, if not all of the 19 scheduled laps. But kind of thinking back to last year's Road America race, we saw multiple phases throughout that race. John Heinricy, Nick Lavaroni, and Michael Borden all led at different times, and the kind of strengths of those cars ebbed and flowed. So I wouldn't certainly say that Tom Fowler's even out, but Michael Borden did have the longevity last year. The RX-8 on pole is the question mark. How long will that car not heat soak? How long will the tires last on it? And then I think it's safe to say John Heinricy doesn't maybe necessarily have the raw pace, but he certainly has the experience and maybe has a pretty good race car under him with that Toyota 86. Those are the top 3 cars, totally different in every way. So who knows how long each car will last and where their strengths and weaknesses will lie when the green flag flies.
Yeah, there's Rich Grunewald's Mustang, one of 2 V6 Mustangs in the field, and right out there at the S's. So that's a separate incident from the issues at the start of the race there at turn number 1.
It's really sad to see because he lost a motor at the beginning of this week, spent all week replacing the motor just to get a qualifying lap in, and unfortunately he did take the green, but something happened to not prevent him to finish that first lap.
Exactly. The 18 of Sergio's Loban coming by. Sergio, good start into 5th spot, started 4th.
Another big mover we pointed out early was Derek Ambrose, 20th to 13th in the Mazda 3. He's about to pop into the screen, and actually the Pontiac Solstice came with him. The Solstice was scanning down, sorry about that. Garrett Mays, kind of just up a couple of spots as well. Those are 2 of the unique chassis in the field, both knocking on the door of the top 10.
Cork Sport, of course, doing a lot of the development on Derek Ambrose's car. Cork Sport, a Mazda performance development company of some repute. And I was surprised to learn that the Mazda company was in the cork business back in the day, which is where the term Cork Sport came from. So let's head down to the pit lane. Hayward Wagner with an update.
Hey guys, I just had to catch up with Tom Fowler's crew. What happened on the start was just as he was about to go to 3rd gear, he got hit from behind and it literally bumped his hand off the 3rd gear over to 5th gear. So he went to 5th when he should have gone to 3rd because the car got bumped. Just one of those bizarre things that happens at the runoffs. You guys probably noticed it was a really tight pack coming to the green, a lot of contact, and that's what threw him off.
Well, that's good to know that there's not a mechanical problem underlying that, so that'll give Fowler the opportunity to work his way toward the front. Working race lap number 6 now, completing 5 of the 19. The clock continues to tick. We've still got 26 minutes remaining, so plenty of time. Probably won't get all the laps in as these guys are lapping just under 2 minutes a lap, but hopefully the cleanup is just about complete as the field working their way through turn number 1 right now.
Yeah, this race is quickly turning from a sort of sprint race to a proper sprint race.
Exactly.
We maybe have 20 minutes of racing by the time they come around and take the green flag at this point. We're seeing debris flag down as well. I don't know if anybody maybe lost some coolant or some fluids when they had contact there in the beginning of the race, but that's going to make some interesting conditions as we come down for what will essentially be the first time again into turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, that debris flag was just withdrawn, so it may be that they had some pieces, parts on the racetrack that they've gotten collected. As it looks like all of the safety vehicles have left the scene of the incident. So with a little luck, we will go green next time by. Getting word from race control, there's just a couple wreckers still finishing their duties and getting into a place of safety. So close, but that doesn't sound like we're going to go green this time.
It's a pretty unique car in the field. The only ND MX-5, that's Brian Price, who is a former, has some experience in professional racing. I think a former national champion in B-Spec, or at least a podium contender in B-Spec. I can't remember exactly, but he started 35th, looks to be way up the field, and that's unique in that it's not a Global MX-5 Cup car. It's a proper just MX-5 street car built into a race car and placed here in T4. He said it still needs quite a bit of work, a little bit of balance help as well, as it's down on power from a lot of the other cars in this field. field, but he's doing a great job. You can see he's weaving there in the middle of the straightaway and in the middle of the pack, so he's moved up well above that 35th starting position.
Yeah, Brian's this is his third runoffs, and he finished on the podium in B-Spec at Daytona in 2015. So. All right, sounds we are going to go green this time by, so the field beginning to pack up. There's Ralph Porter in the 32 car, out of Kokomo, Indiana, the Carbotech BMW Z4. I think he's the only Z4 in the field. He is. The Pontiac Solstice and the Mazda 3, a couple of unique differences. And a field that's very much dominated by the twins, the Scions and the BRZs, as well as the MX-5s and RX-8s. Get a good look at the 35 of John Heinricy. Right there in third spot. Safety car is off. We are getting ready for the restart. We're about ready to complete race lap number 5. Number 6, I should say. As we get ready for the start, a flash of the brakes, making sure the brakes are solid for our leader. And we are away. Heinricy pops out immediately, and coming along with him is the car in 4th spot. That's Sergio Zlobin, I believe. It's 4 wide down the front straightaway.
That's actually Charles Habis-Roedinger. He got the perfect timing after a little brake check from Ray Blethen coming into the green flag. Whoa, a huge lunge for the 68 up the inside. I don't think he meant to do that. Around the outside, John Heinricy goes to the lead.
That's Tyler Quance making that, the inner pulsator gets spun. Big hit. Oh, man, we got 3 cars. Thomas Fowler involved in that as well. But Stephen Blethen getting spun.
Massive stack up. That's about 10 cars involved with body contact. Multiple cars getting pit maneuvered across the nose of others. Just really unfortunate, unaware driving, it looks like, coming through the exit of turn number 2. And again, these drivers don't get to see this track very often. Many of them have not raced here wheel-to-wheel before, but almost every single one of our contenders was involved in that incident besides, I think, John Heinricy and he might have been the only one to really get through that, I think. Tyler Quance maybe did, but there's still chaos as we go back to full course caution.
Yeah, we saw Jeremy Butts off as well, and you can see Derek Ambrose in the Mazda with significant damage to the right rear, as he's got a serious tire rub there. Looks like he's going to try to soldier around. A couple cars going slowly in the background, probably with some damage. So for the second time, we are under full course yellow. We have yet to complete a full green flag lap.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking and hard to watch on TV. Sure enough, Tyler Quance did get through that. It looks like Michael Borden was able to sort of manage to salvage getting rear-ended, packed in from both sides here and there, but we know for sure that Borden took significant hits to all 4 corners of that car. Tom Fowler certainly involved in some heavy incident there. Blethen, who was the leader at the green flag, Steven, was one of the cars that got pit maneuvered as well. So I'm trying to see if there's really many of those top cars left. It doesn't appear to be.
So Heinricy in search of his 16th championship. It was hard for me to believe, but I looked at it. The last time Heinricy won a championship was 2018 in Sonoma in A Sedan. So his 15 championships used to be he would win 1 or 2 every year. Yeah. But you know, considering he's had 34 runoff starts and he's been in the top 10 30 of those times, that's a pretty good record. We'll get a replay of the incident at turn 1, and it's just about half the field seems to be involved in one way or the other.
Well, and this really started, Stephen Blethen checked up on the brakes just before the green flag came out. Borden, it was Borden had to check up as well, but now just a big stack up down in here. It looks like a Habis-Roedinger goes to the inside of Blethen, spins him across the nose. Lobin gets turned by Borden, and then a massive stack up with nowhere to go. The entire field just kind of drives into this thing. Big hop on the back of Derek Ambrose's car, and then as cars continue to join, or attempt to rejoin, they come together there in the gravel trap. Tom Fowler, heavy damage. The 69 comes together with him in the gravel as well.
Yeah, Fowler just was a passenger at that point after getting collected, and unfortunately just spun right into the path of the 69 of Jeremy Butts, which put the 2 of them into the gravel trap. So this will be even a more extensive cleanup than the first one, as we are working race lap number 8 of the scheduled 19. But the clock is really the determining factor here, as we've got, we're about halfway through, about 20 minutes. So with that, and with this yellow to allow for the cleanup, let's just take a quick break and listen to our friends from Mazda.
Why race? Because it's in our blood. A love of driving that pushes us as hard on the road as it does on the track. It's why we reinvented the Roadster and put a piece of it into every car we make. It's why we refine, rethink, and refine again. And it's why we'll always engineer to your heart's BPM, not simply an engine's RPM. Why race? Why indeed?
When the finish line calls, we answer. Hit the road with insurance protection from Hagerty. Whether you drive a built racer, sports car, or exotic, and save an average of $264. Get a quote today at Hagerty.com.
Welcome to that magic realm. Between here and there, a no man's land, and everyone's land. Where great expectations grow, and rewards are given to the swift, the perceptive, and the daring. Introducing the Mazda CX-30 Turbo with all-wheel drive. More power for your pursuit.
Welcome back to the Touring 4 National Championship. As the broadcast, once again, presented by Mazda. I'm John Phippen alongside Tom O'Gorman, as we've had an eventful start to our first race of this runoffs, as John Heinricy has taken over the top spot just by being a survivor.
Well, is somewhat, but he really did race himself to the lead. He came around the outside, swept around the outside of pole sitter and who was the leader at the restart, Stephen Blethen. There is the 35 of John Heinricy, so he raced his way to the lead, but now there's not a lot of people left behind him to challenge because a majority of the top 10 were involved in a pretty serious incident there. None of the cars seriously super damaged or anything, but there were so many cars involved, so right behind then Tyler Quantz becomes the second place driver. Michael Borden, after taking impacts from sides and rear, manages to come through and maintain third, and it won't be the first time he's had to race the finish of the runoffs with some body damage. He finished last year having won with the hood popped, so we'll see if he can maybe race that car to another win. But outside of that, a whole lot of the top 10 affected. It looks like it's actually one of the other GT86 cars that has come up. I think that's Koehler in the 10 car. To give you an idea of how messy this race has been, he started 16th, now sits 4th.
Brian Laughlin, another candidate for the Sunoco Hard Charger Award, started in 21st position, or 19th, excuse me, dropped back to 20th at the end of the first lap and is all the way up to 5th. So Brian Laughlin also able to pick his way through the carnage and move his way forward.
Well, this will be exciting for those drivers who get a chance to, maybe they thought they were coming into today racing for 10th, and now they're racing for 4th, 5th, 6th. That could be super exciting and super fun. There's Brian Laughlin, a little bit of body damage on the right front, so he didn't come through completely scot-free, but he's up a bunch of spots there in the blue and green car.
So just to recap, John Heinricy, your leader, Tyler Quantz, Michael Borden, the top 3. Hayward's got another update for us down from the pit lane. Hayward?
Yeah, guys, the 9.8 car just came in a few minutes ago for a tire change, cut a tire on some debris. I was going to show you the wheel, but the crew just left with it. I've not seen the amount of rubber pickup that was on this tire in many places. I think a lot of these guys probably had to go well offline to avoid things. Picked up a lot of slag on the tire, a lot of the OPR, as the autocrossers know it. So if you're seeing extra scrubbing, extra that sort of thing, there's just a lot of tire pickup on that particular tire, maybe something other people are feeling as well.
Getting a good look at the 27 of Brian Laughlin, who's made up all of those places. And again, we've got some oil dry going down right at the exit of turn 2, as a couple of those cars came together in earnest, and most likely some radiators got burst in that collision. So it'll take just a little bit longer with the sweeper truck there to get that kitty litter scrubbed in and broomed off the racetrack. Heinricy in the Toyota 86, pair of Mazda MX-5s for Quantz and Borden. Then the Scion FRS of Colin Koehler.
Talked about the 151 of Brian Price. How about 35th to 14th? That car is all the way up into the top 15. Center of your screen, the new MX-5. Price said it doesn't have the pace, but he's got the luck or the skill to aim for the gaps in this race at least. So that's closing in on a top 10 maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Considering he didn't turn a time at all in Wednesday qualifying. He only qualified Tuesday and on pole day. So our tie rack pole sitter, Stephen Blethen, has been eliminated from competition. Thomas Fowler also caught up in that most recent contretemps there at turn number 1. Michael Borden surviving at the front. in third spot. Raymond Blethen also involved. He's dropped well down. John Heinricy started outside of row 3 and is in the lead right at the moment.
Do you have to wonder how much the impacts that the number 42 of Michael Borden has affected that car? He definitely took hits to the door and the rear bumper, but if it didn't hit any of the wheels and tires, if everything's still pointed forward, that car should still be mostly fast. And I think they've even done the research. If you put a couple of dunts and golf ball the car up a little bit, it's faster in a straight line, right?
Exactly, exactly right, exactly right. We saw the surviving V6 Mustang, that's the 96 of Matthew Miller, after Richard Grunewald had a problem on the first lap. As I mentioned, Richard, one of the announcers that works with me at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, along with Rusty Bell, who we'll see a little later today in the GT Light Race.
We did just hear from the pit lane that this is officially a timed race. There's 13.5 minutes left on the clock. You see in the upper left-hand corner as we come back to that green flag.
Safety car is pulling in. John Heinricy will have the field under his command as he comes through the final turn and wastes no time getting his right foot down as he waits for the green flag as the cars begin to stack up behind him. And there's the green once again. Great jump from behind as Tyler Quantz going for the lead once again. Tyler had a good restart last time by. He's alongside the 15-time champion as they hit the brakes into turn number 1. Right there behind is Michael Borden to pick up the pieces should there be any problem. But at the moment, we're getting through this first turn safely, and Tyler Quantz takes over the lead. Borden in third, Heinricy in the sandwich in between as a big cloud of kitty litter gets thrown up as they work their way through that oil dry.
Borden opens up turn 4 nicely. He's going to get a run on John Heinricy, who was looking up the inside of Tyler Quantz. Now they're side by side through turn 5, through the grass, down into the braking zone of turn 6, and you can hold the outside. This is a giant skid pad corner. Can Borden keep it together? No, he's into the marbles, and now is under attack from the 10 of Koehler.
Koehler in the surviving RX-8 at the front of this field gets shuffled a little bit wide, but Tyler Quantz taking over the lead from John Heinricy. Third spot, Michael Borden looking to make it 2 in a row, back-to-back wins possibly for Borden as they come down into a great passing opportunity at the end of the Hallman Straight at turn number 7.
Well, Rick Delamere gets by Brian Laughlin, but it's a massive move. Oh, it's a Tyler Quantz. The leader is off, goes through the grass. It's wet still through there, and he's going to hold it together. Now Heinricy back through to the lead, and Borden goes through with him. Is there a tire down? I think the tire is down on the 68.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe that hit on the curb created an issue because he is off in the grass once again. So trouble for Quantz, and that is going to scotch his opportunity for a top finish. So once again, John Heinricy survives to get himself back to the front. Michael Borden right in his wheel tracks.
Heinricy has to either be in disbelief or chuckling in his helmet. The number of things going his way right now, but Borden still keeping the pressure on. Then it's a little bit of a break. Koehler went through to now what is third, and it looks like he's got a lot of pressure from Rick Delamere behind. That's a pair of FRSs.
Heinricy's car getting up on the cam. Looks like he's got the straight line speed at the moment. Borden's car with some war injuries for sure. You can see damage all along the side panels. Is going to affect the aero just a bit, but he's able to stay right with the 15-time champion as they work their way through turns 2 and 3.
Borden absolutely on the limit, goes for a nice late apex at turn 2 there, gets through turn 3, opens up turn 4 again. The handling certainly going to the MX-5 right now as he gets another one of those runs, but I think he won't make the same mistake twice. Goes for a push, shoves John Heinricy through turn 5, and now down again into turn 6. Borden tried this high line last time through, and it didn't really pay off for him. This time, looks like he keeps it out of the marbles and will maybe get a better run through turn 6A.
Yeah, but the two of them really beginning to draw away from the rest of the field now.
Yeah.
As Heinricy out in front. I would guess that the Toyota 86 is quite a bit heavier than the MX-5, so he's probably got a little weight disadvantage.
It is. It tends to be a little bit better in the straight lines once it gets breathing, but it's not the best accelerating car either. In the background, Brian Laughlin got back through on Rick Delamere. That's for 4th. You see the MX-5 is, blue MX-5 is back into that 4th position, but Koehler gets a little bit of a break. There's Borden. You see heavy damage on the passenger side as they turn through this corner. There's all that damage to the passenger door, but he is absolutely on the limit, using a little bit more of a track, maybe half a car width more track total than John Heinricy, who's looking pretty calm and collected right now.
Just about 10 minutes exactly remaining in this. Clearly, it will be a timed rather than a lap race. So 10 minutes to go as they make it through turn number 12. You can see Borden is really driving that car hard. The tail stepping out as he is right on the limit. Heinricy, as you so often see, silky smooth very little wasted motion.
And this is what we saw at Road America last year as well. Borden drove a pretty scrappy race, but he just wouldn't give up. And that's paying off for him here. Way out to the wall for Brian Laughlin, almost scrubbing the door handle up against that, that barrier. But they have all now run down Koehler. Colin Koehler there in third, but he's got pretty much the rest of the top 20 with him as Laughlin looks to the inside, tries to fill the mirrors just a little bit. And still in the background is Rick Delamere.
And Charles Habitsreutinger not far behind in the 6th spot. As this three-way battle, Koehler, Laughlin, and Delamere working their way through turns 3 and 4. The 27 of Laughlin looking a bit racy right now, as he is right on the back of that FRS, but not able to find his way through. So in the Toyota Sandwich is the Mazda MX-5. As we can see, Heinricy beginning to stretch his advantage over Borden through the S's. Great long shot here down the Holman straightaway as they're coming toward turn 7.
In the background, Charles Habitsreutinger in the gray with blue headlights. MX-5 was 2 off coming onto the straightaway. Big lunge up the inside for Laughlin. Oh, and the 10 sees him coming, gives him the room. That was graceful from the 10 to see that attack from the 27. I don't know that that was going to end so well if he didn't see him coming like that, but opens the door, and now Brian Laughlin goes through. That is third. It's a bronze medal.
Yeah, exactly. And considering where he started, that's a great start. Like I say, he is certainly one of the front runners for the Sunoco Hard Charger, as the 2 FRSs going after it just behind him of Koehler and Delamere. Koehler thinking about it as they come into the braking zone for turn 12, but has to fall back in single file.
There's some not insignificant body damage on the front of that number 10 from the turn 1 and 2 incident at the second start. I have to imagine that's affecting his straight line speed. The number 15 just behind, Rick Delamere, looks nice and clean. So if he tucks in the draft, that number 15 might just drive on by, even though they're the same kind of car.
And sounds like we are going to a full course yellow again, as we've got a car off, and there it is, the 21 car of Charlton Lane out of Statesboro, Georgia, in the Buccaneer region, into the gravel trap.
A couple of the drivers maybe not seeing that we're under full course caution now, finally tucking in line. That's the 66 and one of our Solstice competitors, which I think there's only one, maybe Garrett Mays. These drivers are fighting for just inside the top 10, but only 6.5 minutes remaining in this race. This is maybe bad news for Michael Borden, good news for John Heinricy. If we don't get another restart opportunity, we may end up like this, but that will be a quick tow. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway safety crews are some of the fastest drivers I've ever seen, and I've worked in racing for 15 years, so hopefully they can pull that car out of the gravel trap pretty quickly. It looks like it was just off track, maybe in sector 1 somewhere.
Heinricy doing a little weaving, keeping debris off of those tires, keeping a little temperature into them. And Michael Borden does likewise. But Brian Laughlin's got to be pleased. He is going to catch up because those two had kind of gotten away. So this will give Laughlin a new lease on life, as well as the 2 FRSs behind him of Colin Koehler and Rick Delamere. Charles Habitsreutinger also making up some ground because he was well back, leading that parade of cars. Robert Spence, Garrett Mays, Richard Mooney, and Roland Guzman are your top 10 as they run right now.
If you remember early in the race, Habitsreutinger there in the gray and blue, bottom of your screen now, he was up in the podium contention positions before being involved in one of those incidents at turn 2. He slipped back, but has now kind of gotten a third lease on this race. He moved it back up into 6th on the second restart, and now on this third restart, hopefully we do get a restart. He might have an opportunity to get back up towards those podium positions, having been brought back into this top 5 battle.
Yeah, and the car looks clean. He's been able to avoid damage, it appears, so that's certainly a bonus. And right behind him, Robert Spence in the 59 car with the Brumos-ish livery.
So Robert Spence coming through to, that's a 7th place spot there. Need to scroll up a little bit. There we go. Garrett Mays, Richard Mooney, and Roland Guzman will round out the top 10. Good
run for James Eben. He qualified back in 26th position, and James climbs all the way up into 11th spot. So another candidate for the Sunoco Hard Charger. James Eben, as we said, a second-generation racer. His father, Cliff, a multiple national champion. Oh, it's going to finish under yellow. We're just getting word from race control. They're going to have to checker this one next time by. So John Heinricy is going to notch championship number 16 behind the yellow flag. I'm sure he and everybody else doesn't want to see the race finish that way, but sadly this one has been incident-filled.
Yeah, there's got to be a lot of drivers that are just kind of in disbelief in good or bad ways after this one. Heinricy certainly in a good way. Borden has to be feeling pretty good about, I mean, he was in the middle of a sandwich and being hit from multiple angles and still manages to come home with a podium position as the defending champion. So that's going to be a pretty solid finish in all things considered for the 42. And then Brian Laughlin from well down in the field comes up for a bronze medal. I think he started all the way down in 19th there in the number 27. The car isn't perfect, but it's going to be a medal for the 27. That's got to feel good.
Absolutely. And you consider Michael Bolden's strike rate's pretty good. This is only his second runoffs, and he's got a win and a second. So that's a pretty good way to kick off your career, especially if you can finish right behind a now 16-time national champion.
Yeah, just to kind of run down the other charges, Colin Koehler will come home 4th from 13th on the grid. Rick Delamere from 19th all the way up into that 5th position. Charles Habis-Reutinger, like we said, has gone from 8th to 4th, all the way back to 6th again. Robert Spence up from outside of the top 15. James Eben also outside of that top grouping from 24th. Garrett Mays will come home 9th. Looks like he started in about 14th, so he's one of the smaller charges there in that Pontiac Solstice, but gets into the top 10. And then Richard Mooney from 26th up to 10th in the 39 car. That's a lot of hard chargers here.
Yeah, Roland de Guzman just going to miss out on the top 10, finishing in 11th spot. Alexander Schaefer in 12th. Christopher Windsor in the 121 MX-5 in 13th. Brent Simonson in 14th. And Brian Price rounding out the top 15. 151. So the field behind the safety car coming through turns 13 for the final time. Past the pit entrance and on to the front straightaway. So congratulations to the venerable competitor. That is John Heinricy. He holds the record for the most championships of any active driver. He's had, in 34 starts, had 25 podium finishes, 27 top 5s, 30 top 10s of his 34 starts. He's been a fast qualifier 11 times. He's set the fastest lap 12 times. And this will be his first championship since 2018 at Sonoma in a sedan. So congratulations to John Heinricy. But again, to Michael Borden, a great strike rate, second podium in as many years. Brian Laughlin coming home in 3rd spot after a great recovery drive from deeper in the pack. So those are your podium finishers. We'll have a chat with them in just a few minutes' time as they complete their cool-down lap, as Hayward Wagner will be down trackside to talk to our top 3.
Talking about John Heinricy, he actually won T4 at Sonoma as well. So it has been a while, but he now becomes a 2-time champion in this class. As you said, what was it, 15?
Yep. 15
total in national championships.
Now 16.
Yeah. Now 16 in the
pending review by the stewards of the meeting, we must say. There are always the final lap is always through the tech shed. So, but Phoenix Performance again with a great history at the runoffs, especially lately. The Philadelphia-based garage of the Aquilante clan. And John Heinricy has teamed with them. Of course, Heinricy, a former GM engineer and test driver, so he's got a lot of laps and a lot of racetracks and a lot of different cars. Was always, sort of cued in with the big, V8 high horsepower cars, the A sedans and whatever, but dipping his toe into the import field here with this Toyota 86 and doing a fantastic job with it, obviously.
And under whatever circumstance, the finishing order on the makes and models looked very different from qualifying. We had RX-8s and MX-5s kind of dominant in qualifying, but it's an 86 that takes the championship, a pair of MX-5s in trail, but then 2 Scion FRSs getting up into the top 10 as well, top 5. We have a Pontiac Solstice in the top 10. and BMW Z4 are making his way into the top 15. So pretty good variety here in what was heavily Mazda front row and top grouping. Still have to give a shout out, a little bit of heartbreak for Chi-Ho, was in an incredible start, challenging for third from 14th in the BMW. To no fault of his own, ended up in the tire wall, but that would have been a lot of fun to watch too, so a shout out for him.
So here's the unofficial results. John Heinricy, your winner for 16th championship on his career. Michael Borden finishing on the podium for the second year in a row as the defending champion. Brian Laughlin in that third spot. A great drive from about mid-pack. Colin Koehler survives for fourth. Rick Delamere in fifth. Charles Harpitz-Reutinger in the sixth spot. Robert Spence in seventh. James Eben in eighth spot. Garrett Mays comes home ninth. And Richard Mooney rounding out the top 10 in the unofficial results for the first race of the 58th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. The cars now making their way into pit lane behind the safety car. And Hayward Wagner standing by to have a chance to chat with our top three. Of course, John Heinricy will have the opportunity to take a lap around the track with the checkered flag as the victory lap. And while that's going on, we'll have a chance to hear from Michael Borden and Brian Laughlin. John Heinricy, what a career this driver has had, and he has shown that it takes skill to keep the car out of harm's way, and that car does not appear to have a scratch on it.
No, and getting some coaching from Hayward through the window, as if he's never done this before, to get his helmet off for that interview.
Yeah, exactly.
Soaking it all in on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway front straightaway.
Yeah, you can see the smile on John Heinricy's face even through the helmet. I think he had hoped to be there, as Sports Car had picked him to finish on the podium, perhaps in second spot. But again, just surviving the carnage that this race has become, and able to notch that championship number 16. Michael Borden got to be pleased in only his second runoffs, coming home on the box for the second year in a row after taking a win on debut up at Road America a year ago. And one of the drives of the day has to be for Brian Laughlin in that 27 car after starting back in 19th position and coming home. Sounds like Hayward has got our winner. Go ahead, Hayward.
John Heinricy, number 16. How does it feel?
Wow, it feels awesome. Remember 2018 when you asked me, or you started out before and you said, go fast, take chances. Today it's not who goes the fastest, it's who gets there first. And we got there first. It was awesome.
Now, obviously, this is your 16th. You've been here before. You came here to race this weekend. How does this race for you emotionally? Is this a bit of a letdown, or a win is a win?
Well, a win is a win, and, the guys did a great job getting the car ready for me. Drew Spoto and Joe and Bob and PJ, Andrea, they all were right on top of getting the car ready. All I had to do was drive and make the right moves, and we made the right moves and won the race, and so I'm pretty proud of that.
Right place, right time, not a scratch on the car. One more lap, enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you.
Great to hear from John Heinricy once again. I've spoken to him on the podium many, many times as he is going to take the victory lap. Don't know if he'll have a passenger or not, but we'll see.
Or many.
Or many, yeah, exactly. Sometimes you see these victory laps with crew members hanging out the windows and on the rear spoiler and just about everything else. Hayward's going to get the second and third place finishers lined up, and we'll have an interview with them here in just a few minutes' time as our 16-time winner. Sounds like Hayward's got our second place finisher, Michael Borden.
Michael, what are the emotions? Is it a letdown to be that close, or just exciting to be here on the podium?
I mean, honestly, it's awesome to be on the podium. We didn't have this car on track until the first time on Monday. We didn't even know if we were going to have it done in time to get it here. So the fact that it was quick all week, and we had kept it on the podium. I was hoping to race for that win, but with all those cautions out there, it just kind of turned into a mess. But I think I made the best of what happened out there. So.
How much were you able to understand what happened on the second restart? You kind of made a big move going into one. Bunch of cars got together. Was that something that you have a memory of? Do you have a story on that?
It all happened so fast. I know it looked like everybody was kind of fighting for the bottom, so I kind of went out to the outside since nobody was really there, and I was able to brake a little deeper and get kind of up there on the outside. and then it was still kind of working it out, and I'm not sure. It looked like maybe the RX-8 in front of everybody spun or something, and then I think Sergio tried to move, and I was there, and I didn't know what was happening. And then I tried to check up because 2 cars like completely sideways in front of me, and everybody just plowed me right through it. So, but it worked out. I'm on the podium, so I can't complain.
Getting by with a little help from your friends.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations on the second. We're going to go pull Brian out next. Brian, come on over. 19th qualifier on the podium. Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, we had a little bit different strategy. We went out on R compound tires. We just went out on sticker R's. I noticed a lot of the guys in front of us were going out on A's. I was hoping that their tires were going to start to fall off about halfway through and ours would come on. But, you know, had so many cautions. Just lucky to draw on this one, man. I mean, it was awesome.
Sometimes making it through alive is making it to the podium.
Absolutely, man. I'm going to Jacktown.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Hayward, as we get the good shot of John Heinricy with the checkered flag out the window for the 16th time as he takes the victory lap around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Only the second time the runoffs have appeared here. 2017 was the debut where we had nearly 1,000 cars. And this year we didn't miss it by much. 875, I think, is the final count, something like that. As we got beautiful weather here today. Sadly, the forecast is not so good for the rest of the weekend, but we'll see how that shakes out.
Sometimes the best racing is in the rain, I'd just say. But yeah, congratulations to John Heinricy, and that was definitely maybe a little bit heartbreaking, definitely entertaining in certain capacities. But he earned this one. Don't forget, he charged around the outside and took the lead, which turned into the win on that second restart. We'll take a couple of looks at the replays from those multiple starts and restarts and chaos down into turn 1.
Here's the initial start. You can see Tom Fowler just dropping through the field as he got bumped, and that knocked that car out of gear, and then the carnage began as the 48 car gets a little bit sideways and then takes out our pole sitter in the second incident as that RX-7 gets collected right about there, spun, and then played cars with no place to go, Tom Fowler being one of them. And then for the final restart, around the outside goes the 68 car, and then something must have broken because we certainly didn't expect to see Tyler Quince going off like that. And then the battle between the Toyotas and Michael Borden, as Borden taking over the top spot. But finally, John Heinricy able to take it to the front, and sadly, this one finishing behind the safety car. But congratulations to Heinricy for his 16th national championship as he completes his victory lap and makes his way back into the pit lane. Heinricy, Borden, and Laughlin, your top 3, as we've got the Touring 4 National Championship in the history books here on the first day of the first Hagerty race day of the 2021 58th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs.
Welcome to that magic realm. Between here and there, a no man's land, and everyone's land, where great expectations grow, and rewards are given to the swift, the perceptive, and the daring. Introducing the Mazda CX-30 Turbo with all-wheel drive. More power for your pursuit.